This is the Stories from the Field podcast, a Delaware Farm Bureau production, sharing real stories from local farmers while educating the public on the agriculture industry. Thank you for joining us here on the Stories from the Field podcast. My name is Macy Carter. I am co-chair of the Promotion and Education Committee, a part of the Delaware Farm Bureau. So our featured farmer this episode is Jay Baxter, owner and operator of Baxter Farms and Salted Roots in Georgetown, Delaware. A majority of his family's farm acreage is in corn, soybeans, wheat, sweet corn and lima beans, but they also have multiple broiler poultry houses that they manage as well. His latest endeavor with his family is diversifying their business, Salted Roots, which is a greenhouse operation that grows palms and other annual plants. Thank you so much for joining us, Jay.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming.
And Jude as well. So just
Welcome
tell us,
to paradise.
Yes, I feel like we're in Florida right now. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how this whole operation started.
All right, so I'm a fourth generation farmer right here in what we call Stokely, Delaware. It's Georgetown. About 6 years ago, my wife and I had the opportunity to invest in greenhouses. And what we were able to do was take an entire greenhouse operation and move it to this location. Started a whole nother entity, built back the greenhouses, and we were contract growing annual flowers that ultimately would end up in a big box store.
So you started with the annual flowers.
Yes.
And then how did you get into these beautiful palm trees behind us?
Well, the palm trees have always kind of been a dream of mine. My grandfather maybe used to have called it maybe a pipe dream, but anyway, a dream nonetheless. And it started to happen because we had neighbors that knew we had greenhouses sitting empty, and they wanted a place to put their palm trees in the wintertime so they wouldn't die as the season got colder, and not be able to just throw those plants away, but keep them for the winter and have them for years to come. And so it started off as kind of an experiment. Again, the idea was in my head of, hey, what would happen if we had palm trees and we started, leasing them to people just for the season and then rehabbing them for the wintertime. And that's kind of where this went. And so here we are.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, here in Delaware, we experience all 4 seasons.
Yes.
So we are not like Florida where we have really harsh winters here. So that's a great idea for just having these greenhouses and keeping the space to store them.
And interestingly enough, the seasons we do have, in some years, we don't have a harsh enough winter to kill certain species of palm trees. And so there are some species that people try to keep alive, but for the most part, you can't predict the weather, obviously, and we don't know what the next season's going to be. And so, yes, this past winter we had, it would have killed every single palm tree species that was here.
Yeah, it was definitely a harsh winter this past winter, for sure. Now, you are leasing primarily, or are you also selling palms? So
it's a sale. We are selling the palm trees. Every palm tree that is here is for sale, and we have sold some. What we are calling the lease is an agreement that at the end of the season, we're going to buy them back. And that way there's a change of hands and there's a change of liability. So if I were to lease you a palm tree and you were to kill it, well, now who's responsible for that palm tree?
Right.
But if I sell it to you, it's now your sole responsibility. But if you keep it alive at the end of the season, I've got an agreement with you. I'm going to buy it back for a certain price. I'm going to rehab it into greenhouses until next spring, and they'll be for sale again.
See, that's great. Have you had a lot of interest in that leasing?
Yes, we have.
That's great.
Yes, we have. That's the part that seems to intrigue people when they realize that, people, well, I don't want to spend that kind of money on palm trees because they're just going to die at the end of the year. Well, no, they're not. No, they're not. We're going to bring them back here.
To keep
yep,
them.
We're going to bring them back
great.
here and keep them for another year.
Now, you're in a unique spot right here, kind of towards the beach traffic.
Yes.
Are you finding a lot of beach goers and tourists are coming to you?
The interesting thing about beach traffic is they're in a hurry. They don't really want, they're not stopping. So we have to try to get their attention otherwise. And so that's where marketing is very key. Yes. And I have to go back in time a little bit to my education, my formal college education, to marketing, and start to dig down deep and get some of that stuff back out again.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned marketing. I see you have some great shirts that you're wearing. Jude, do you want to talk a little bit about them?
So I just use an app that you can just edit designs and stuff. And I originally came up with the design just with the cross, with a T, and then just improved on that.
Great. And did you learn how to do this in one of your classes at school?
No,
No?
I was just self-taught.
You self-taught yourself. That's amazing. Can you show everyone the back of your shirt too? You've got a really cool... Did you design that? Yeah. Awesome. So it's got some flowers and the logo. I love it. Thank you. That's great. So you've been helping out with the marketing? Yeah, you like that aspect? Yeah. I'm sure it's been a learning experience. Do you guys have social media?
Yes, and that's the best part. Every teenager loves social media, so it's good just to, whoop, there you go.
That's awesome. That's great. I love that you're teaching the next generation to be involved with the farm, because we don't have enough young farmers.
Yep. All of the kids have had the opportunity to do their own commercial on Facebook, so that's neat to showcase everyone there.
So you're famous. Awesome. But yeah, I guess we can talk a little bit more about your business. So I guess what kind of palms do you specifically grow?
So we've got 4 different species of palms. 2 of the ones that are most recognizable are a Christmas palm. That's the one that looks like the traditional palm tree that everyone's used to seeing, with a nice smooth bark that runs up it. And then a queen palm are the ones that are real big, that kind of have a funny looking leaf at the end of them. They kind of look like they're dry all the time or something, but that's just a characteristic of them. What's so nice about the queens is the fact, first off, they're very large, but second off, they're more cold hardy than the others. We've also got some, most of those are all in pots, as you can see right behind us. Some of these are in pots. We've got some triangle palms that have the more rigid leaves on them. And then the Anodontidias, say that 3 times fast. Those are the ones that are really unique, that people like, because in Florida, they've suffered through hurricanes or something that caused them to twist and get a crook in them. Well, people in Florida don't want them because they're not appealing. Well, here they look like they belong. They look like they belong on a beach somewhere. Right. So those are the ones that people really like, are the ones that have a little crook to them or something like that, and the double trunks and things.
The unique ones.
Yes.
That's neat. Yes, I love all of the varieties and how they're so different.
We've got some clumping bamboo here. That was an experiment the salesman convinced me to take, and I said, no, there's no way we want bamboo in Sussex County. He goes, no, this is different. This isn't the stuff that spreads like wildfire. This will stay in the pot, and you can just keep trimming it back every year. We've got one in particular that has almost like a lemon smell to it, which is really nice for like around a pool or something like that. We've got birds of paradise, which are, really pretty flowers. They look like, here they actually look like they're banana palms, but they're actually bird of paradise. Okay. And we've got an awful lot of hibiscus that we're doing with 3 or 4 different colors of hibiscus that we sell.
I'm sure those are popular.
Yes.
Yes. Now, you kind of touched on it with some of the trimming and pruning, but can you walk me through how the growing process works, or do you just get them as is and not really have to grow?
That's the best part, is they showed up as kind of as you see them. We've transferred some into different pots, and that's what we had to be very specific about. We're picking palm trees that were going to grow in a pot well, that weren't going to get root bound because they grew so fast. Again, some of them we have already transferred into larger pots just because they're easier to handle. The larger palms that are a ball of burlap, they actually are. They're actually stuck in the ground, but they're not planted. So what we're doing in that case, we're actually getting a grow bag, and so we're wrapping the root ball with this grow bag that will allow nutrients and moisture to go back and forth through this porous bag, but yet the roots won't grow out of the bag. And so at the end of the season, again, we can go and just more or less pull it right up out of the ground and bring the roots with it again.
Nice. I like that option that you have. That's for sure. Great.
And they do take a considerable amount of pruning. Just like any tree, you've got to keep them pretty and prune back. A lot of these palms will naturally prune themselves, so the fronds will fall off throughout the summer. So it's just a matter of kind of cleaning up after them, and they're in soil, so there'll be weeds growing there. Amalio, who is kind of the guy with the green thumb around here, he has convinced me to keep some of the non-palms, the weeds, growing in the pots because he thinks it actually helps stimulate the growth of the palm tree.
Very neat.
Yeah.
Did not know that. Talking about your typical customer clients, who do you mostly sell to? Is it homeowners, businesses, landscapers?
Surprisingly, it's homeowners.
Really?
Yes, people that want them around their pool or in a backyard kind of oasis area. We were anticipating, restaurants, and we were really pushing the marketing towards like hotel pools or HOA pools and things like that. But it's harder for them to kind of, I guess, make that investment. But yeah, there's been quite a few people that come by here and buy 3 or 4 palms at a time. Or, we delivered to one family. We delivered, I think it was about 10 of them this summer.
Wow. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that homeowner purchase, really gets spread by word of mouth too.
Yes.
I'm sure that helps a lot.
Yep.
Now, what sets you apart from like traditional nurseries or landscapes? Is it that leasing aspect?
Yes, because us versus a traditional nursery, very few of them have palm trees. And the ones that do, you're just going to buy a palm tree, and in the wintertime you have to bring it inside your home and keep the humidity up, or at the end of the season, a lot of times, there's people that buy palm trees knowing good and well at the end of the season they're going to toss them. And so that's what keeps us separate from them, is the fact that it's almost set up like a lease, that if you so choose at the end of the season, we'll bring them back here and we're going to keep them in the greenhouse and keep them for many years to come. And think about the lack of there's no more waste now, right? They're not just dumping something at the end of the season. It's less expendable to us.
Right. It's definitely worth it to lease if you can.
Yes.
And have that option. Now, you said you transport yourself?
Yes.
You offer that service? That's great. That's another thing.
So it's nice about having teenage boys.
Your kids can help you with that part.
They're the transport crew.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And the hand digging crew.
Put them to work.
Yep, that's right.
We love it. So I guess since this is really a unique operation, what are some of the biggest challenges that you've faced since starting?
The biggest challenges to face in starting are really just starting, right? Anytime you're getting into something new, it's there's always that anxiety of, is this the investment we want to get into? And just through some circumstances not of our own, the flower contract went away, and so therefore here we are. We were still growing flowers because we wanted to continue utilizing the greenhouses for that part, and we started marketing the flowers to landscapers and everyday homeowners that just ride by and do want to buy flowers from us, and that part's great. But to diversify into this was kind of almost just a thrust in that direction of we're not going to learn to fly until we step off the ledge. So
yeah, sometimes it's all about just taking that first
that first
step.
Yep.
And I think that's what farming is about.
That's right. That's right.
We put a seed in the ground and watch it grow, and that's what our money depends on.
That's right. That's
crazy.
right. It's the faith of a farmer, and and this took it to a whole nother level here. Obviously, with the inventory we have behind us, we would have liked to have seen less inventory sitting here, but it's still not a bad thing, and we're learning a lot, and we're understanding about the palm trees and the fertility of them, and managing insects. We have a right here, coincidentally, we have a pretty major issue with grasshoppers this year, and so we've had to be particular about managing them. Japanese beetles really like to go after our hibiscus, so we've had to be very diligent about that. So
yeah, I was going to ask about your pest management, so that's great that you brought it up, but also I know that they're a pesty thing to have to deal with.
Yep. And it's like I said, it's a whole nother species of plants to deal with, and so it's something that we're kind of paving this road as we're driving down it.
Right. Now, are there any technologies or maybe innovations that you've found that have helped with this endeavor?
The best innovation and use of technology that we found is the marketing part, right? We couldn't do this if it wasn't for social marketing, social media marketing. And again, that's kind of where it's nice to have somebody like Jude come along that, understands more of that and can kind of just have fun with it.
Yeah.
Right?
Be
Because
creative.
no, let's be honest, I still have a farming operation that's
Right.
that needs to be run. So
Right. That's nice that you have help with
yes.
from your family that you can trust. That's great. Now, I guess we'll switch gears a little bit, but how did you become involved in the Delaware Farm Bureau?
So my grandfather was instrumental with Delaware Farm Bureau at its inception, as a matter of fact, and our family has always been involved because of that. I remember as a little boy working at the food booth here and there, and then really got thrusted into it when was invited to a YF&R meeting, and it kind of stuck from there. I got involved in Young Farmers and Ranchers when I was in college. Was always very involved in the FFA, but that was the next step in that direction, and was very involved, and that was a lot of fun for me.
Yes, I can relate as being a member of Young Farmers and Ranchers as well. And after college, I was like, I still want to be involved in my community. So I was like, what's next? But this was definitely the next step. And now your kids can be involved in that as well. We're going to recruit you to be a member. So what are your big plans for maybe the next 5 years? What do you foresee this business becoming?
That's one of those crystal ball features that doesn't seem to always work out well for me. I try to glance into it, and it just never seems to quite be very clear. So that's the best part about being a visionary of a business, which is kind of the I guess the first role that I sit in, and I drive my wife crazy with my ideas that I come up with, and sometimes I have to be grounded again that, hey, let's back off of that one until we get this one underway. But again, we've got 9 greenhouses sitting here now, 10 greenhouses sitting here, and we'd like to see this operation continue to flourish for the next generation. Right, we've got Baxter Farms, and it's growing where it needs to, and we've got the next generation poised there as well. And so to watch these entities kind of work together and kind of overlap themselves is interesting, but yet we're very particular to make sure that they do keep themselves specifically separate as far as business entity is concerned. But it's nice to be able to, hey, I need some extra help, so we'll hire Baxter Farms to come on and help us with a certain project, or Baxter Farms needs a little bit more help, and so we'll bring the greenhouse help over, and we'll do landscaping around the farm or something like that, and it's real nice. So it's good to watch the next generation grow into it. So to ultimately answer your question, we are carrying this on until they can make a decision as to what it looks like for them. We like to keep them in a visionary role as well, that, hey, what does the future look like for you?
That's great. I think farmers that can see that, that's so important, that they're the next generation. They're the ones taking over this land. What can they do for us? Yeah.
Right.
How can they have a role? So that's great. Now, this was very inspiring, especially for someone that maybe is thinking of just starting farming or wanting to take a leap and step into a business. What advice would you give to someone that's thinking of starting an ag business today?
Be patient. That's the best thing, is to start off with patience. Don't be overzealous in starting off and thinking that you're going to grab the tiger by the tail, because it'll be exactly that. Yeah, be patient and watch it grow at its own pace. And don't be afraid to slow it down just enough that you can still keep a handle on it and keep control of it, that it doesn't grow faster than what you can handle as a business owner. And that's been something that's it's been difficult for me to take my own advice as well. Even in Baxter Farms, we want to see ourselves grow into the next thing, and let's take on growing another crop, such as I don't know, we got into lima beans, and we're into sweet corn, and you have a trying year when it comes to a certain crop, and it causes you to kind of rethink things a little bit.
Yeah. No, I like that advice.
And
being
refocus.
Patient.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's all about taking that first step, but just knowing it's going to happen slowly.
And build good relationships, right? Build good relationships with your neighbors. Build good relationships with your banker. Keep your good relationships with your family, because it's very important.
Yes. That is definitely for sure. Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming.
Of course, we're so happy to be at this tropical oasis. Do you have anything you want to say, Jude? No? You excited for seeing this business grow? Awesome. Well, thanks, Jay. Thanks,
Thank you.
Jude, for having us.
Thank you for coming.
Yes.
Tips with